Good evening, everyone. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet and to pay my respect to their elders, past and present. My name is Titar Aprikian. I was born in Syria, Aleppo, to an Armenian family, the youngest of 4 girls. My dad was a carpenter and furniture maker, a trade that he learned from his father, and my mom was a housewife. You may wonder why I am born in Syria, yet ethnically I'm Armenian. In 1915, 1.5 million Armenian people living within Ottoman Empire were killed in what is now known as the Armenian Genocide. Those who survived were forcibly deported. They were marched across the desert, many eventually making their way to Syria. Amongst this group were my grandparents. I had a very typical Armenian upbringing in a loving and close-knit family. My parents always very supportive of me and my goals. For as long as I can remember, I wanted to work in accounting. So after I finishing the high school, I enrolled to further study at the Financial and Technical Institute, specializing in accounting. I graduated in 2012, and like all recent graduates, I was keen to start work immediately. Unfortunately, because of the war, this was not possible. The Syrian civil war started in 2011, and by 2013, it had spread to my hometown. It was a never-ending nightmare to live day by day in a country where at any time you could lose your house or be forced onto streets, or worse yet, lose a limb or die in a bombing. Unfortunately, this was and is still reality for most people. Things we took granted for, like internet, electricity, water, diesel for heaters, and petrol for the cars, became hard to come by. By the end of 2013, things had become too dangerous. And as a family, we fled and headed for Lebanon in order to apply for an humanitarian visa to Australia. Usually the trips to Lebanon from Syria takes 4 hours. However, in these circumstances, it took us 15 hours to reach the border. This was because the buses took a longer route for safety. It was a journey filled with fear. We had heard the stories of people being kidnapped on the roads, robbed, or worse. 8 hours into our journey, the bus driver told us to close the curtains. And then we noticed the bus started to accelerate. He explained that the area was frequently targeted by snipers. I cannot stress how terrifying this was. I just kept thinking, is this it? Thankfully, we reached Lebanon safely. My family rented a house and I gained my first work experience, employed by a company that bought and sold tools and machinery equipment. I had no idea what the products were, but still I had to work to earn an income and support my family. After 5 months, I was able to move jobs and work in an accounts capacity for a retailer and wholesaler of security cameras for homes and offices. What a relief it was to finally be making use of my studies. I worked here until we received our visas to Australia. The 14th of September 2015 was a momentous day for my family. We arrived in Australia, landing in Sydney. We were so fortunate to be able to come here via humanitarian program. My eldest sister, who has now lived in Australia for 17 years, sponsored us, and she and her family have been a huge help in assisting us to settle in. It was just fabulous to see her again, and such a relief to be finally settled in a peaceful country. At the same time, though, I was sad to leave my home back in Syria. My friends, my church, my dreams. After 1 month of staying with my sister, we moved out into our first unit. I studied English for 3 months, and then I wanted to improve my knowledge of the local accounting systems to complement my studies from Syria. So I enrolled in a diploma of accounting. After I finished it, I started to look for a job. But this process turned out to be a lot harder than I had predicted. Luckily, I found out about CareerSeekers. I attended their work readiness training just last month. I have been doing some one-on-one coaching, and I now look forward, hopefully, to commencing an internship with one of their partner employers. It makes me feel so hopeful and optimistic being here tonight, seeing so many supportive people and talking to fellow refugees who have now established careers in Australia. I hope to be able to make my family, my new country, my fellow career seekers, and my future employer proud of me. Thank you so much for listening.